Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our webinar. I'm Michael and Trevor Toll, the Marketing Manager for Solution Systems Inc. Today we have customers and others attending this webinar, so just a bit about Solution Systems before we begin. We are located in Rolling Meadows, Illinois, and we have been in business for 35 years providing software, IT infrastructure, and web development to organizations in the Chicagoland area, as well as Wisconsin, Indiana, and the Midwest region. We are a Gold Certified Microsoft partner. We sell, implement, and support an ERP software called Microsoft Dynamics NAV. NAV is a business accounting software that is geared toward manufacturers, distributors, and service companies. We also sell, implement, and support CRM as well as outsource IT services to our customers. Today we are very fortunate to have Rick Baxter with us from Cost Control Software, and he will be conducting this overview. So I'm going to pass it over to him so we can get started with that.
So if you do end up wanting a recording of this afterwards, just let us know and we'll send you a link. I'm Corey Kirchner with Cost Control Software. Today we're going to be going over how to add visual drag and drop scheduling to NAV for manufacturing. Today is Wednesday, July 30th, 2014. We're going to take about 60 minutes or so to cover the topic, and then I'll leave some time at the end for question and answers. So to get the most out of this, if you did receive your study guide, you can take notes during the call. Like I said, the recording will be available shortly after this, so if you want that as well, just let us know. Okay, so we're covering today, it's Production Scheduler. It's by Planner One. And what this is it's embedded into your NAV. You'll have a Gantt chart view and lots of other view options. Let me scroll down. So my goals for today, I want you to see an excellent software presentation. I want you to have a good understanding of how it works and if it's something that'll work for you. If you decide that the product is right for you, will it work for your business? Do you think it'll add value? That's the whole idea behind this here. So, and if you do like it, you can always contact us and we'll do a live demo. We can do a little discovery meeting and get some more information about your business, and if you feel it's going to work for you. So the agenda for today is broken down into 3 parts. So first I'm just going to kind of cover the daily workflow. It's just 4 easy steps. Then we're going to kind of we'll go back to the board and just kind of go over the layout, show you where everything's at, some of the key features and all that, and then I will post the information on here of how to contact us if you're interested in seeing more. And it looks like I have a question already. Oh, okay. I got an email. Yep, I will email you that link as soon as it's available. Okay, so daily procedures. Like I said, it's just 4 easy steps. I'm going to walk you through them. Step 1 will be adding a new production order. You can do this manually. Production orders can come in from a sales order. They can come in from a forecast. And once we do that, it's going to immediately go into what's called standby on our visual scheduler. So I'm going to show you all of that. For my demonstration, I'm going to do it manually. So just keep in mind, these can come in however you do it now, but I'm going to do it manually. So let me go back here. So I'm in 2013 R2. I'm in my Manufacturing Plus Role Center. So right here on the Role Center, I'm going to go to our Release Production Orders. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a new one. So I'll go up to the top here. And I'm going to add a new one. We're going to make this for a sample. It's just an FG 606, finished goods 606. And we're going to say we're going to make 250 of them. And the customer wants them in about 2 weeks. So we'll just say the 13th. Okay, so I'm going to refresh my production order to get my line in. So now my line is here for my finished goods 606. As you can see, the date, target end date is 8/12. If I scroll over here, these are the dates that NAV puts in. These are backward scheduled dates. So it's saying my end date, which is a 1-day buffer before the due date, is 8/12. So it's saying, you know, in order to hit that 8/12 date, this needs to be started by the 6th. But what Planner 1 does is it's going to forward schedule. And we'll go into a little more about that, but I just want you to keep that in mind, that these are the dates that come from NAV and they're backward scheduled dates. And it's getting these dates, if I come to my routing here, it's getting these dates based on our run times and setup times. So I've got 4 router steps, and I have these set to go to work centers. Now, the way I have my database set up is I have work centers and then I have machine centers within work centers. So I have a machine department is the first step. So operation 10, we're going to the machine department. And it's saying that's going to start on the 6th. We're making 250 of these. I've got a 30-minute setup time, so keep in mind 30 minutes is just the one time to start this operation. And then we've got 1.5 minutes of runtime per item that we're producing. So if I scroll over just a little more to the right, I've got my expected capacity need of 405 minutes in order to do 250 of these. So all it's doing is multiplying 250 times the 1.5. So I've got this set to a work center. Now I have multiple machine centers within this work center that I can choose from. So I've got it set up this way because I want you to see that what Planner 1's going to do is pick the most available machines within this work center. So I'm giving it options. But if this needed to go to a specific machine, then I would set this at a machine center level. Now this pulled in, this is a template for the FG606. So when I said I'm creating this item, it's pulled my template in. So this is the way this is set up. But you can direct this to go to specific machines. So Operation 10, machine department, then down to Operation 20, we're going to the CNC machines. Then 30, we're going to the assembly department, then on to the packing department. Finishing up on 8/12. So one thing to keep in mind, and I want to pull up a diagram here to give you a better idea of just how this works. So I'm not sure if all of you are as familiar with NAV manufacturing, so this will kind of help clarify everything. So production schedule are embedded in Dynamics NAV. So you've got, you know, NAV manufacturing. We just created a production order. The production order pulled in the production order router, and when that's created, we've created what we like to call these stickers. And these stickers represent those routing steps that we just went over. So these are going to be, you know, the length of these are going to go based on the runtime. So when we created this, it goes into what's called standby. Now we're going to go into this here in a second, but I just want you to see how this works. So it's in standby. The scheduler then runs what's called schedule function. It's just a button they're going to click. These will drop down in here, and what Planner 1 does is it's trying to pull everything ahead. It's optimizing the schedule. So it's going to try to complete it, you know, if it's available today, it's going to start today. Instead of backward scheduling it, you know, if something goes wrong, you're going to miss your ship date. So it's going to try to pull this ahead given that there's availability. The scheduler that then can edit or approve. And when I say that, that's where he or she is going to drag and drop and arrange things how they feel necessary. And then once they're happy with it, then they publish. And when they publish, those dates and the resources that everything ends up assigned to is written back into NAV, and it's going to be available on the on your production order and on your router lines. So let me close this. Okay, so we've created our production order, and let me close out my router. So what I want to do is I briefly want to just scroll down here and show you this. So this is still our production order card with our new production order. If I scroll down just a little bit, you can see I have a new tab here. It's Planner 1 Production Scheduler, and you have a Gantt chart view right in the production order card. I haven't had to leave the page or anything. As you can see, it's in standby. So this is a filtered view just showing your operations here. These are the router steps. So I've got operation 10 here, operation 20, 30, and 40. Now this is a best case scenario. If it started today and everything was able to run back to back, looks like it's going to end Monday afternoon on the 4th. So I'm going to close this out, and we're going to go into the software. So I'm going to go back to my Roll Center, and right here I've just promoted this on my Roll Center. I've got the link right here to Planner 1 Production Scheduler right in NAV. So I'm going to open it up, give that a second, and I need to remove this filter, it looks like. Okay, so here is what we call the resource Gantt chart. You've got your list of resources on the left. I'll go into a little more detail about the layout of this, but so resources on the left, I've got work centers set up. So work center 100, and then it looks like I have 3 machine centers that are part of work center 100. So I've got 110, 120, 130. Keep in mind your machine centers, they can be people, they can be machines, whatever you're trying to schedule. So I've got some people in here, I've got machines set up as well. So I've got my time scale across the top. We're currently viewing a week view. You have other options. You can go down to a day level, you can go to a month view, you even have some advanced options. Like I said, I'll go back over these. But what I want to focus on here is this is our new production order that we just created. So the first thing I want to highlight, actually let's go to this one, because I want you to be able to see this whole thing go through. So I'm highlighting it, and let's go ahead and focus as well. So we're just focusing on this production order. So this is we're coming up on step 2. So this is where, let me pull this up here. So step 2, the scheduler is going to go to the optimization tab, and they're going to run that schedule function that I talked about a little earlier. So what that's going to do, it's going to take it out of standby, and it's going to move it to what's called the working plan. So you can see here I've got 5 tabs. So I'm going to go to my optimization tab, and we're going to run the schedule. All operations will be rescheduled. Planning start Wednesday the 30th. So let's hit this. Okay, so we're still on my filtered view, so I'm trying to follow this all the way through here. What it's done is it's scheduled all of our operations, our router steps. So we're starting off on the deburr machine, and that's part of our work center 400. Remember, I had those router steps set at work centers because it can go to any of the machine centers that are part of that work center. So we're giving it options. And doing that is going to help prevent overloads. If you have your router set up going to the same machines, you're going to have an overload really quick, which the scheduler can make some changes, but it's just more manual work. So if you do have multiple machines or people doing the same thing, you want to set your resources to the work centers and machine centers. So you want it to go to the work center. So from the deburr machine, we're going up to CNC machine. Then we're going to, looks like Brian Walton in the assembly department. And then we're going over to the packing department. Now you can see these grayed out. These are your other production orders out here in their tasks. These are grayed out because we're on a filtered view, but this can't start, looks like, till the 4th, because that's just the as soon as it's available. But if I kind of go over here a little bit, we're finishing on the 5th. So we're already way ahead of schedule. Okay, so moving on. So let's go. I want to pull my agenda back up. If you're following along here, that's great. So here's the filtered view that we just talked about. Now we're moving to step 3. Okay, so the scheduler is either going to approve the recommendation or they're going to move the operations if needed. And I'll kind of come back to the move, but for the time being, we're going to just move on. We're going to say that everything looks good the way it is, and we're going to move on. So one thing to keep in mind, let me remove this filter so we can see the whole view again. Turn this off. So look at, we've got a lot of activities out here, a lot of things going on. I'm the scheduler. I'm looking at this. Everything looks good. You do have one thing I want to show you before we move on here, is I do have, let me close some of these. I've got too much open. We have a lot of, this is called the Indicators and Details tab, and this is hidden really easily. See, if I just take the mouse off, it goes away. I can click it, it comes back. You can also pin it if you want to keep this up here. You're just going to lose a lot of your Gantt chart space. So I'll pin it for now. But what I want to show is you've got planning information. This is the overall information of everything going on out on the shop floor. So I've got work orders, and work orders are production orders. So just try to keep that in mind. It's just a generic term that they use in here, but these are your production orders. So it looks like we have 19 production orders out on the shop floor. We've got a total of 78 operations, and our planning start date is today. So a lot of information there. And if we come to this key performance indicators, so looks like we're at 94.444% on time, which is not too bad. And this could improve by running our optimization, which I want to get to. So I'm going to come back to this indicators and details just a little later, but I want to kind of move along here on the next step. So step 3, the scheduler either approves the recommendation or moves the operations if needed. So I'm going to say it's good, and we're going to go ahead and schedule. I'm sorry, not schedule. We're going to publish. So we're on the planning tab. So we've already scheduled. We're on our planning tab now. Publish is where we're going to write this information back to NAV. So that you get this little pop-up. Do you wish to publish the plan? We're going to say OK. If you watch in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, once this finishes up, and it's taking a little bit. Give that a second. I apologize for the delay. There it is. Data sent to ERP, and the plan has been published. All right. So what happens on a publish? Well, let's go take a look. So let's go back. I want to go back to our list of our production orders. And here is our order for 250. So I'm going to open this up. Okay, so a few things have changed here. So down at the line level, if I scroll over here, we've got our starting date and end date. Looks like we're ending on the 5th. And if I scroll over here, now I have my setting. There's some different settings here. I can choose to leave these were the dates that came from NAV originally, but they've been overwritten by the publish. You can choose to leave those so you can compare them, because what happens, there's some fields added here. So these are the production starting date and production ending date, and they're here as well. So you could leave the NAV dates in so you have some comparison, but these are all coming from our publish and our moves that we made on the schedule. Another thing that would be updated, if I come back to my routing, so remember we had these set at work centers, just our generic work centers. If I scroll over a little bit, well, first, here are the dates. These routing steps have been updated as well. So I've got my starting dates and ending dates here for each routing step, so I can see, you know, where in the process each one's going to start and finish, all the way up until the 5th. So those also come back from the publish. And if I keep scrolling over here, now I have my planned resource types and resource numbers. So now you can see these are all set to machine centers because it's went through and it's picked the available machine center within the work center. And then I've got, you know, 430, 160, these are resource numbers. So all that information is written back. So now you know who's doing what or where you can find your order at, you know, which machine. It's all right there. All right. So that's written back, and again, if we scroll down, your Gantt chart view right here, it's filtered. I can see, you know, everything. This is a good view of everything, the overall project, start to finish, right here. Okay. So I want to stop for a second and just see, does everybody, I want to take a quick poll. Is this something that looks easy? Is it something that you think you could add to your NAV installation? You know, you can always just type in the comments, let me know what you think. I'll wait just a second here before moving on. I mean, I hope I'm not going too fast, and just, you know, I want everybody to be able to follow along here. Okay, looks good. Too early to tell. Okay, that's fine. We have some more to cover, so that's definitely fine. And I got another question. Yes, seems easy, but how does it work with orders that are 10 to 20 steps? It'll work just as good. I didn't put as many in here for my demo data, but yeah, I've definitely set up production orders with 10, 20 steps. It's going to work the same. All those operations will stay linked together, and so if you do want to see a demo live, I can kind of put that together for you so you can get a better idea of it. So just let us know if you want to see that. I'd love to show it. All right, so we got, okay. So I want to go back here. I'm going to go back to our production scheduler, back to the Gantt view. So a couple things I want to mention. So you have, and let me pull the agenda back up. So I want to go over this. So there's different types of users. You have your master scheduler who's going to be coming in here making the changes as needed, you know, running the optimization and hitting the publish button, sending everything back to NAV. They've got full access over the whole thing. Then you have what's called collaborators. They can view the schedule, but then they can also add these tags and they can add comments to them. So it's a way to communicate with the scheduler, you know, right on the board. They can flag different operations that need special attention, and I'm going to go over that here in just a second once we get back. But the third ones are just viewers, and these are people that just view it. They can't do anything on it. They just want to look at it, see the status of the production order and the route, you know, the steps. Viewers could also be just a big screen out on the shop floor. You could have, you can get you a big monitor, put it out on the shop floor, and have it so everybody can just look at it. You can set it to a day view. That way you can see what's going on for the day. You could have that out in your different areas, your work centers. You could have a view of just the CNC machines out there. Viewers can also pull this up at the workstations, on a terminal at the workstations, and it's also viewable on tablets. You can open this on a browser and view it on a tablet if you're out on the shop floor, and so you've got different options there with that. Okay, we've covered the publish. I kind of got a little off track here, but I've covered the publish, where does it go, all of that. Okay, so I want to go over now some of the key features of the board. It's the orientation. I'll kind of give you a good view of the whole layout of the thing. So if you want to follow along with that, you can. I'm going to move this over off to the side for now. All right. So like I said, there's 5 tabs. I want to start on the display tab. So this first section here is just how you're going to navigate throughout it. You've got your slider bars, your arrows down here. I can come down. I've got more resources down here. You can go to today just by clicking here, and you've got your start of planning, end of planning, and so on. So a lot of different things here. You can type in a specific date if you're trying to view that as well. And you've got your timescale options. I mentioned we're on our week view. You may have a lot of smaller operations. Some people may be having some really quick turn production orders through. You may want to view this at a day view. It doesn't look as great on mine because I've kind of spread mine out a little bit. But you can go to a day view. You can look at this at a month level. So I can say, wow, I've got a lot of work here up until the 5th, and I don't have much out here. We need to bring some more work in here. So there's that, and then you've got advanced options. So I can come in here, I can select between hours, 8 hours, days, quarterly. I can look at it years, and then change your units here. So you've got some custom settings there. If you notice in the background, I've got these little kind of grayed out areas here. Those are our non-working periods. So this basically reads from our shop calendars that we've assigned to the resources. And the way I have mine set up currently is just a Monday through Friday work week with an hour lunch break in between. So it's just an 8 to 5. So you can see that little strip in between is lunch. You can hide these periods just if it's a little distracting. Real easy to do that. And if you have really small operations, like if you see this one right here in the middle, you can enlarge these so you can get a little easier drag and drop. So it kind of gives you a little something to move. And these colors. So I want to talk about the colors. So currently, you have different color options. I currently have it set on the production order colors. So each color represents a separate production order, but you have different options here. So you can change these. You can base it off of item. You've got some custom fields. You got customer field. These are custom color schemes. So I can change this to item. And I can see we're making a lot of these FG606s, I believe. I think the green ones are some bicycles or something. It's just sample data I have in here. Yours may be a lot more colorful, changing it that way if you're making a lot of different items. The one I really want to talk about is this advanced delay. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. Now you can see a lot of these turn green. You got some yellows in there. If I come back over this and I hover over it for a second, you've got some information here. So advanced delay is a really nice feature because what it's going to do, it's going to tell you, it's a good way to visually see here what's going to be late. So you've got dark green going, from light green into your reds. And if you look at it, the work order is early by more than 10 days. So obviously we want to see lots of greens in here and no yellows, orange, or red. So this is a good way to kind of give you an idea of how we're looking here. And again, you can always view those indicators and details and look at that percentage. But here's a good way to spot some trouble coming up. So you can always turn that on. I'm going to go back to the work order color for now. So I've got these bars here. I can adjust these heights on here. I've got medium. If I want to display more information, I could adjust that, and then I can adjust the font size. So I'm going to go to the operation bars. Now these are all customizable. So I can drag in different information here. I can go to, let's just say due date. I can add the due date to this. And let's go ahead and make this font just a little smaller. So this is all, can say, ooh, that's a little small. I don't want to do that. How about 10? Yeah, I'll go 11. Hello, James, is that good? Okay, so now I've got my due dates on here as well. Now, it's going to be kind of hard to view on some of these smaller ones. So if you notice when I hover over these, I've got a little pop-up, and I think my mouse is just a little too sensitive for this, but you can display information in these little pop-ups, and they call them operation screen tips. Those are customizable as well, just by dragging in the criteria that you want to display on there. So you can, for some of these smaller ones, you can hover over it and you'll be able to see the information you want to see there. Okay. So then I want to go to the Actions tab. So this here is where the drag and drop functionality comes in. So I mentioned this, but we haven't gone over this yet. So in order to drag and drop, I want to highlight my move function. Now keep in mind that this move function is only going to allow you to do what your router setup is allowing you to do. So if I have this set to work center level, it's going to allow me to move between work center 100. So if I take this down and say, I want to get this over here, it's now adjusted, and you can see it's pushed these other operations out. So I've done that with a move function. Now, if I'm moving from a different work center or a machine center that was specifically assigned, you can force move it with this one. This will allow you to take it anywhere. So keep that in mind. You also have the ability to set what's called a fixed date. So I can come on here and turn on my fixed date and drag this out. So let's say I just got a call and we're waiting on materials. We can't start this operation until the 4th. I've now dragged that over to the 4th. And if you notice that bar has shrunk down, that's because it was covering over a non-working period. That doesn't mean the actual length of the order got smaller. It's just they stretch out over these non-working periods. So now it's shrunk down because it's going to start on the 4th and it looks like it's going to end before lunchtime. And I've set that fixed date. So next time I run the optimization, and this is trying to improve our dates and move things up, this will not be allowed to move forward. So that's a good way to set it if you're waiting on material or something else. You can set that fixed date easily right there. Another thing that comes up is, you may have machines breaking down, or you may have it down for, maintenance, preventative maintenance. Or, if I have a person on here set up, they could call in sick or be on vacation. So what you want to do is be able to close that period. You don't want these things sitting here scheduled, ready to go. Scheduler may not always remember that machine's down, so this is a good way to do that. So I want to close this period. So we're going to say Linda Mitchell is on vacation from the 30th, and let's just say to Friday. We'll go with that. So I'm gonna close, say the 30th until the 1st, and we can say I'm gonna put a little exception name in here. Oops. And we'll just say on vacation. That way we know kind of what's going on. Now watch as This updates. Now we've got this bar here. It's closed the period and it's shifted all of the operations here forward. So it's readjusted that easily. So you can close a period, but one thing you can do as well, and this is a good thing to keep in mind. So let's say since Linda's out on vacation, now we're getting behind. We're going to need to run some overtime. You can open a period just as easy. So we can say, all right, Linda, since you've been on vacation, you have to come in this weekend because now we're behind. So I'm going to open this from the Saturday the 2nd, and let's go through Sunday the 3rd, and we'll just say overtime. We got to get these orders caught up. Now you can see those all shrunk down because now we're going to be able to complete this. This was stretching off into Monday. Now we're going to be able to complete the assembly operation right on the weekend. It's going to be done on Saturday, just opening that period. It might be a little difficult to see, but you can see this little green area here. That's our open period. Now you can manage these just by going here and deleting them. So I go to manage exceptions. I've got my exception name, Linda on vacation. Linda's working some overtime now. You can just easily delete those by selecting them and removing them like that. And give that a second. Now everything's moved back because those are open again. Okay, so we talked about the different viewers, and I mentioned collaborators and setting alerts and tags. That's this right here, and we're still on our Actions tab. So I've got alerts, I've got messages, and I've got these tags. If I open these up, these are little flags that I can put here. Alert with comment. And I've got messages, I've got these, message with comment, a couple choices there, and then I've got these tags. And you've got tons of choices here. So I can say I want to add some tags. I've got a whole list of them right here. Now, so let's say I'm a collaborator and I need to let the scheduler know that this operation here needs to have some special labels or something. So I could set this as a critical and give that. So that's not a really good color, I don't think. It's kind of hard to see, but let me change that. Okay, so I've got this little blue flag here, and let's say must apply special labels. So I'm alerting the scheduler that, or someone on the shop floor that's just a viewer. And if I hover over, or if I come down here to this operation, I've got some extra things here since my mouse settings are not right. So I must apply a special label. So I've got my comment down here. So I'm alerted that there's something that needs to happen with this, and then you can go to the comment. And normally if I didn't have my mouse set like that, I would be able to show that a little better on the pop-up. So I can just remove it like that. Okay, so I've covered pretty much everything on the Actions tab. And I showed you just a little bit about filter options. So I want to go to our Filters tab. You actually have a lot more than what I've shown there. But so I can set a big filter on here just by selecting the resources I want to display. And the way I want to do this is you can add a new Gantt chart. So let's say I want a filtered view of my resource Gantt chart. So I need to readjust that height since I made a new chart. Okay, so I want a filtered view of this chart, and I just want to look at my assembly department. Because I've got a lot of resources here. I just want to see what's going on with assembly. I can actually rename this. Assembly. Okay. Just by double clicking that, now I've got a new tab here that just looks at the assembly department. I've got my full Gantt chart here to see everything, but I can also focus on different departments. And you can add as many of these as you like. You can just come through here and add multiple views. And I could, rearrange this just by dragging it over. I can rearrange the order very easily and remove the chart if I just no longer need that one anymore. Just delete it right off of there. So that's one way to apply the filter. And then what I did show earlier is our highlight work order. So I can come on here and just click any one of these production orders out here. And then if I want to focus on it, I can get the whole production order in one view. So now I've filtered out my resources on the left just so I can see everything that pertains to this production order. You may have, it's a little more advanced, you may have work orders that are linked together. You may have like sub-assemblies. You may have a production order that has sub-assemblies. That's what the highlight work order network is for. That would actually show the sub-assemblies as well as the final item. Okay, so that pretty much covers the filter tab. Then we went to our optimization tab a little bit. I showed the schedule function. Schedule from is just a little bit different, and you and most people would probably use this, I would say. I showed schedule, but schedule from is going to establish what's called a frozen period, because you typically don't want to be rearranging things that are already out on the floor, same day. So I may want to say, things that are scheduled 4 days from now, I don't want to have rearranged in any way. So if I run this, it's going to establish the frozen period. And now you can see I've got this green bar that's just been added. Now, frozen period doesn't mean that something could be scheduled to Mike here, because Mike's available Friday afternoon. But as far as these things are concerned, they're not going to be moved. And if I hadn't set this fixed date here, this probably would have pulled forward. So just keep that in mind there. So that's a frozen period. Let me see here. Okay, so the last tab is then our Publish tab. So one thing to remember as well is when I'm coming in here and I'm making these changes, these drag and drop moves, this is what's called the working plan. It's not actually, people are not going to see these changes yet. So if I'm in here, let me go back to my move function for a second. If I'm in here dragging and dropping things, they're not going to be, no one's going to see this until I publish. So I've dragged that down, now I've pushed that out. I can come in here and just play around and see what's going to work. As a scheduler, I'm trying to, we're getting behind on a lot of things. I just want to see what's going to work. I can come in here and do this, but then if I'm not happy with it, I can revert back to the last published plan. Or if I say, this all looks good, I think this is going to work, we're going to get all this stuff out on time, then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to publish again. And, how many times are you going to publish? Well, it could be, once a day. You could publish 10 times a day. I mean, it just really depends on how many production orders you have coming through on a daily basis. I mean, it's going to vary from company to company. Okay. I'll go over, let's see, it's about 1:43. Got a little more time here. I want to go over just a couple other key things here. So let's go back to the indicators and details. I'm going to pin this up here for a second. So it looks like, again, there's our ratio of on time. We're at 94%, looking pretty good. Let me close some of these out here so we get a little more room. Okay, so you've got the planning indicators, which is the overall plan. Then I've got information regarding the production order. Now this is going to change based on each one of these that I click on. I want to turn my move function off. So you can see these are changing here. So this is our production order 101013, line 1000, which is just line 1. And we've got a description. It's a finished good 606 is what we're making. It's a released production order, earliest start date. We've got our due date. So this is information regarding the whole production order. Now, these here are drillable back. So if I click on this, so if I'm like, I need to see what's going on with this order here, this just kind of popped up, I can get more information. This drills right back to the production order card. So I can come back here, look at, some more detailed information. I could update some things in here if I needed to. This is all right back. It takes me right back to the production order card. Okay. So that's general information. We've got some details there. I can add these are custom fields where you can pull different information in there. This one here is regarding the operation that I'm clicking on. So this is going to change. So it's going to tell me the production order number, the line number, and then the operation step. So this is operation 10. It's wheel assembly is what they're doing in this. Starting on the 1st, ending on the 6th. And it looks like I've got an hour and 50 minutes of setup time and 20 hours of run time. When we're making 100 of these, it's a wheel assembly. So I've got all that information there. If you had tools added, it would show up here. If I had a fixed date, so let's click on this one here with the fixed date. If I click on that, I've got my operation fixed date. There it is right there. So that's the one we set the fixed date on earlier. I can remove that just by unchecking it, by the way. And you can see it's pulled that forward. So this is the one thing to keep in mind, is this is always trying to optimize. It's always trying to make the most of your resources. It's trying to pull things forward as much as it can. So I've got usable resources. This would be if you had alternate resources set up. Said I won't go into that. And then some setup times if you had different setup times in there. So a lot of information. Nice to be able to just drill right back to the production order if you need to find out more about it. Okay. Now, you do have different chart options. I'll briefly go over these. Like I said, if you want to see this live, I can kind of go into more detail about this, but we've been only looking at the resource Gantt chart. You have what's called a work order Gantt chart as well. And this will just display all of my production orders on the left instead of resources with my time scale here. I've got these little arrows indicating the start dates and then the due dates. So I'm ahead of schedule on most of these. So I've got my due dates here. And you also have, and this is brand new in this release, you have what's called it's a custom Gantt chart. So I can select the different criteria here and display it in a custom Gantt chart. So I could say description, or I'm just trying to pick some random ones here. Okay, so yeah, that would be displayed here. I've got, we're making some bicycles. Here's a list of that there. And looks like I have do I have a question?
Typically, your clocking in and clocking out is your run time.
10, 20 steps. Sorry, I'm just looking here. Oh, the work center load in percentage. Yes, you can actually, let me pull this up here. So perfect timing for that. Looks like Nick had a question. If I open this load chart, this is another view. This one takes just a little bit to open up. I can come in here, and this displays this works similar to a pivot table does in Excel. So I could come and look at my resources, and these are the percentages of the load. So I'm at 100% here of my 8-hour day on this day. You can sort this by however you want. I can look at this at well, I should have taken the day off. If I want to see this at a week view, or if I just want to look at just the work centers. Let's take this off here. I can just look at the work center. So there's a lot of options here, and it's just kind of, like I said, it's real similar to a pivot table. You can easily pull that up, and it helps with future planning. You can pull this up. Let me see. Let me add that. And you can change your views here, so I could look at this in a quarterly view. This is all going to change, so you've got a lot of options here to see what's going on. That's going to display in your percentages. And one more view here, which is nice, and I want to just show this one. I like this one. This is good for your workstations. If you had a terminal out at the workstation, I could say, here's the painting, pull up the painting cabin. It's only got one thing going on. How about this CNC machine? So I could have a terminal at my CNC machine 160. Here's a list of the tasks in order of what needs to be completed. And these, like I said, you could have this on a tablet as well. If you had people with tablets out on the floor, they'd be able to go and see what they have scheduled. So, if Mike wanted to see what he has to do today, he could pull this up on his tablet, and it'd be all right there. And if you're a scheduler, you can kind of change the priority of these. Now, if you're just a viewer or collaborator, you wouldn't be able to do this, but you do have the ability to reorder from here if you see something that needs to be moved. And you can see all the selected operations have been moved. So you can even do that from this list. So a lot of different options here. All right, so we got about 10 minutes. And I wanted to show one other thing, and then I'll kind of just open it up for any questions here. So what I wanted to show is a lot of times when, if you're a salesperson, you're trying to promise a customer a date. You're trying to give them, they say, I want to order something here. So I'm going to go to my simulated production orders. They say, I want to order, let's go down here to I want to order 100 of these FG606. Surprising, huh? Okay, we'll just say 100 of these, and they want to know when they can get it. They say, we would like to have it by the 6th. What's the best you can do? Well, I can go here. I'm going to refresh. This is a simulated production order. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. So I could say, if I'm in here, I'm the one entering these production orders, I can come in. Now remember, this is in standby, and we are still on this production order card. So if I come down here to the Gantt chart, I can come here and I can run our schedule function. And I can give them a date right now. I can just come in here and say, there it is. It's going to be done here on 7/31. So, and this, you can see this time scale broke down to the hour because I only made 100 of them, and I said I wanted it by the 5th. Well, yeah, we can do the 5th easily, and you can see it's scheduled around everything that's already out there. So this is a a pretty good idea of when this will complete. So you can tell them right away over the phone, hey, yeah, we can meet the 5th easily. So just another nice thing I wanted to point out. Okay. Well, let me pull this up. It looks like we got about 8 minutes. I'll pull this back up. So I think I've covered just about everything in there. I covered our order promising briefly. And okay. So a couple things, a summary here. It's real time. It updates about every 3 to 4 seconds. So as production orders are getting entered in, they're coming right into the planner. It uses web services. You have the option to open it in a browser. Ease of use. I think it's quick and easy to use. I mean, it works right out of the box. You get it installed. It takes about 1 to 2 days to install it, and you could start using it immediately. Graphical planning, easy. It's easy to understand. I mean, it's hard to visualize things going on when you're just looking at data in NAV, but when you can see it, in a Gantt chart view, it really just helps everyone understand. It's fully integrated, like I said, works right out of the box. It's a simple integration with no data replication, and it's developed using the latest Microsoft technology. It's bidirectional, which I showed in this chart. We got information coming in from NAV. going into the scheduler, and then after the publish, we got information coming right back to our production order and our router steps. So bidirectional visualization for scheduler and viewers, and manage the schedule and the exceptions. That's the closing periods and opening periods when you have overtime work. You can always download our catalog. We handle the sales, installation, setup. We do all the training. I'd most likely be the one doing the training. How to buy. Contact your VAR if you have a VAR, or you can buy direct from us. So the next step, if you do like what you see, or you think you need some more information on it, or you have more questions, just give us a call, and we'll set up a live demo with you, and we can kind of do it more company-specific presentation. So because some of this may not make sense. I'm using generic just sample data, FG606. That may not mean anything to anybody here, but we can kind of make it look similar to what you do, and we can have those 10 or 20 operations. And my contact information. I'm Corey Kirchner with Cost Control Software. We're located in Carmel, Indiana. You can just give us a call at this number here. You can ask for me, or you can shoot me an email. And like I said, if you do want a recorded copy of this, just let us know, and as soon as the link is ready, I'll send it. I can send that to you right away. So, are there any other questions on regarding it so far? Okay, I see a question. You can move the operations on the resource Gantt chart. Can I move a work order completely? Yes. You can move. Looks like Jose was asking if you can move a whole order completely. And yes, they are linked. So if you move, let's say the first operation out, it's going to move all the following operations as well. And you do have, it's a little more advanced, you do have different link codes that you can add to router steps to do different things. You could have 2 steps start at the same time, or you can add what's called a send ahead quantity. So if you're producing 50 of something, but you can start that second operation after you produce 5, then you can add a 5 as a send ahead quantity, and once you reach that 5, then that second operation can start. That way you're not waiting for the whole first operation to complete. But yes, they are all linked together, so if you move one, it's going to move the whole order. No questions. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, great. This is all great feedback and questions. I hope I covered it well, and I hope it makes sense to everyone. Okay, I got another question. Nick asked, if the production goes faster than the plan, how do you treat that? Nick, all you do, and it depends on how you are. It depends on how you are closing out your production order steps. So as long as they're going in real time, if you're completing that router step, so if my first step was cutting and I go ahead and it's clocked into and it's complete, it's going to remove that right off of the chart. So it should pull everything else ahead. And yeah, these are all great questions. Like I said, if you need a copy of the recording, you can get that from me. And if you want to see a live demo, again, I want to leave my information up here for a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recorder at this time.